Hello, hello. Hey, everyone. Hopefully, you can see and hear me as usual. I just got done rewatching this episode again before even starting this. So, hopefully, you've all done your homework because, yeah, I'm noticing a lot of things from this week's episode. Hope everyone's doing well. Um, yeah, I've been reading all your comments like off and on all weekend, and had them in my head while I was rewatching for some of the theories that I've been seeing and some of the, you know, things I missed the first time through. So it's been a lot of fun. And one of the things that I really got pointed out to me, which I didn't put too much stock into, but then I rewatched the episode just a couple minutes ago, and I did notice it that. Well, one thing I hadn't seen anybody bring up yet is Agatha's magic is a different color. Like you've got. Okay, thank you, Susan, for letting me know you guys can hear me. Um, Wanda's magic is red, Agatha's is purple, and someone pointed out the book, whatever this book turns out to be in the basement, is actually orange. There was like this orange aura, like some sort of magic around it. So that implies a third magical entity, or the book itself is just magic and its powers would be orange. But that was a good call. I had not noticed things like that. How are you guys doing on theories this weekend? Feel free to throw them out here because I'm still wrapping my head around if I don't think Agatha is doing this on her own. I think that, well, I think she's been doing most of the stuff, but I think she is in cahoots with someone else that is helping her do all these things. Hopefully that makes sense. Where are you at on the Agatha front? Are you guys thinking that, yeah, she's just the big bad, there's nobody else involved? Or are you thinking there's somebody else out there? Because I keep seeing theories on who it could be, but I don't know. I feel like it should be Mephisto, but I don't know for sure. Jackson, I still think Agatha is a middleman. Yeah, I tend to agree. That's. I really feel like that Mephisto or somebody like that needs to show up. If not show up, hey Aunt Bryce, my weekend was good. That's why I'm a day late. I actually had plans yesterday and could not get out of them, or else I would have done this yesterday. But good plans. I hadn't seen, you know, pandemic. I hadn't seen anyone since Christmas, since I'm being very careful about that. So it was fantastic weekend, really. Uh, but getting back to it, yeah, I still keep thinking there have been so many hints at another person that's involved in this that there has to be somebody else. I just feel like there has to be, but I don't know if they're going to show up, or if they're just going to get maybe mentioned or a post credit, you know, at the end. I'm not quite sure how that's going to go down. Yeah, and Bryce, you also agree Agatha is the middleman. It it just makes so much sense that she's. I don't want to say she's not powerful enough. I just don't know how much has she really done to create the situation. I feel like she's been there to exacerbate it, but she hasn't been there to create all of this. But that could be proven wrong. I still want our flashback episode because, or if not the whole episode, at least part of the episode showing us. Well, for one, how did Wanda know that? I think Wanda knew that Sword was actually experimenting on Vision or trying to recreate him or something along those lines, whatever it's going to turn out to be. I think she knew about this. If that's the case, then are we looking at a situation where, and I'm realizing I'm off center here, are we looking at a situation where maybe Agatha fed her the information about Vision, and that's why Wanda broke in and everything else? She really thought she was saving him from Hayward, because it's a real possibility this all started as kind of a rescue mission. And as things progressed, she needed a way to protect Vision, and maybe, because somebody commented on this and I agree with it, maybe she created the hex at first, and maybe it was very small, but she created it to protect Vision from Hayward, maybe keep him out of their hands, keep him hidden, and then it just kept progressing. Like she lost control of her own little fantasy she'd created, probably in a single house at first, and it just kept expanding. That's my theory. I think Agatha, this is from Susan, I think Agatha is gaslighting Wanda for the bigger bat. I can see that. That fits. That really fits. Ain't Bryce. I don't think we get Nightmare or Mephisto, but a mixture between the both. So, you think we're going to get well, would this be a new character then? Is that what you're thinking? They're going to just, or they're going to call somebody Nightmare, but they're going to be more like Mephisto, or have similarities to Mephisto, but they're kind of neither. I don't know that they've ever really done that in the MCU yet. In the old Marvel stuff, sure, but that'd be a big. It feels like that'd be a big change to some characters that people like. Well, maybe, yeah, that's a tough one. It's not a bad theory though. Jackson, do you think Evan Peters is playing X-Men Quicksilver, or is he a regular person that is under Agatha's spell to look like Pietro? If you'd have asked me this yesterday, my hope is it's really really Peter, because he was Peter in the X-Men universe. So I'm really hoping it's him and that he got pulled in here, because the Nexus commercial makes me think that this is a Nexus point on this Earth. So it would have been weak enough for Agatha to pull him out of the X-Men or the Fox universe into ours, and then, basically reprogram him. That's my hope. That's my working theory, but I'm also I'm probably like 40% leaning towards the idea that, yeah, he's just a regular guy that Agatha put a spell on, gave him powers, made him think he was Wanda's sister or brother. And the only thing I'm basing that off of really is at the very end of this week, when we get to the, stinger at the very end. He didn't say the last line very much like Peter. He said it very differently than what I've seen him talk. And again, it was one line, but Snooper's gonna snoop. And it was just, it wasn't sarcastic. It was just very flat. So it's hard to tell. And it might just be them trying to throw us off too. But yeah, so 60% saying it's still him from the X-Men universe, but there's a good 40% of me that's thinking, oh no, this is somebody just Agatha programmed. Much like what Wanda's been doing. Susan, crazy idea, but what if if it is Peter from the Fox universe? Agatha, take him from the Fox universe, bring him in, help her drive Wanda crazy. She put what she knows happens to Wanda's brother. Yeah, exactly what I was saying. Susan, but does she really know what his and Wanda's life was like in a Fox universe? That is why there are some things that Wanda does not remember. True. Well, and I think that would go into the fact that he's programmed. It's a copy of a copy of a copy, or, you're being passed down the story, so the details get muddled. So yeah, and he's probably also got his own history in there too, muddling it even further. And either Professor X or Magneto find a way to bring him back. Something happens and two universes merge. Yes, I know it sounds crazy. Before this series, I probably would have said that does sound crazy, but the more we get into this, the more I feel like we're gonna, and well, actually, not just this, the rumors about what's happening with the next Spider-Man movie, and the fact that we know exactly that the multiverse is going to be a part of Doctor Strange, it's not as crazy as it used to sound. It's really, really possible. I would not be surprised if this is their way of being able to keep at least one character that's fairly beloved from the other X-Men series, because I don't think they want to bring in they don't want that continuity. They don't want that universe at all. But it may be a way to bring in at least one actor who they'd love to keep around as the character. And also, since this character is already dead in this universe, it kind of gives them a little bit of a loophole on, oh, we can bring in one to replace that one because there isn't one that already exists here. Because then if you start bringing in, say, something like, let's say Pietro, sorry, my phone was going off. Well, let's say Logan comes through. You know, Hugh Jackman Logan comes through from the other side. Well, technically there should already be a Logan in this universe or a Professor X in this universe. So if you bring in characters that already might exist in this universe, then you're going to run into trouble. But with this character, he's already dead. So yes, he existed, but he's in the ground. If you follow what I'm saying. So Disney or Marvel can cheat and go, oh, what? We can bring him back to life without bringing him back to life, and we get to keep this actor. Going through your comments that I'm behind. Oh, Ain't Bryce. The Nexus commercial is leaning me towards Evan Peters playing Quicksilver from X-Men. Yeah, that's it for me too. I really think we're going to find out this week that that town is a nexus point, and the barriers between dimensions are probably weaker there. So, and that's part of the reason why maybe even Wanda's powers are a little bit more augmented, which I want to go into that in a sec. But I really think this is us seeing that happen, that whole multiverse. I don't want to call it a fragmentation because it's not fragmentation. It's literally a nexus where there's just this spot, and that's why I think Agatha reached through it. Like, she may just have enough power to rip that Peter out of the X-Men universe and drop him in here, and it's all because not only is she's just barely powerful enough, maybe, and also it's because the boundary there is weak. But also, I wanted to go back to the fact that I don't think we've talked about this before in one of these chats. A lot of us have been saying, you know, Wanda's so powerful. She seems more powerful than she used to, things like that. And I had somebody point out to me, no, she's always been this powerful. It didn't even occur to me in Age of Ultron. If you think back to the end of that, she literally controls an entire town, made everybody stand up and leave in an orderly fashion. Wanda has always been this powerful. She was just always holding back. So now we're seeing the fallout of her doing these, of actually using her powers to their max. And I think that's, of course, what we're seeing this week, too, is now that she's using her powers that much. That's why we're getting all these crazy glitches, which I can't even imagine what's going to happen next week. But at any rate, just looking over your comments, making sure I didn't miss somebody that was saying something that I didn't want to. But no, I think it's going to be really weird, though, if Evan Peters has been cast and they did it to just mess with us, because that would be very, very strange. I think it would come off pretty negatively if they did a bait and switch like that on us. I really do. I think that from just a PR standpoint, it would not help the ending of this series if we suddenly found out, oh no, this isn't your Quicksilver after all. Sorry, guys. You know, you're taking away the puppy. Thanks. Not sure if you knew. Okay, this is from Ben. Not sure if you already knew, but Stan Lee's birthday is in the episode 7 theme intro. Happy they're still giving nods to him even after death. I had no idea that was in there. They gave a nod to Stan's birthday in the intro. Did they do it on the calendar? Because that would make sense. But yeah, I have a feeling we're going to always see a Stan Lee cameo as long as these movies keep running, just because even if it's a photo on a wall, things like that, we're always going to see Stan, and they'd better. Susan, I miss Stan Lee so much. Me too. I still follow his social account, like his Insta, and they'll post like images from his past, the things. There's so much that guy had a life. Let me tell you, that man was so interesting. What a great champion for Marvel too. Um oh, Vermilion, it was a license plate. Interesting. So so they had a Stan Lee license plate or something? That's cool. I completely missed that. The numbers correlated to his birth date. Ah, that's very cool. Very cool. Yeah, yeah, like I said, we're always going to get nods to Stan throughout all of these. I'd be surprised if we didn't. Um, so what other theories you guys got after this week? Because been a lot. I mean, let's see. We've got. I feel like we're in this weird spot now where we're gonna. We're either gonna get all of our answers next weekend, or I mean, don't they have to at this point? I feel like next weekend we have to get like 90% of our answers, and the finale will almost have to be wrap up. Like maybe even our big fight or whatever happens is next week, and then the following week is almost going to have to be okay. What happens now? What happens to the twins? Are they still going to exist? What happens to Vision? Is he just going to die again? What happens to like all these questions are going to have to get answered, and I don't know if you can do it, and because there's only an hour left if they keep the same, time they have so far. I'm kind of hoping they break that mold and maybe the last two are an hour, but we'll see. Mr. Luca, hey Luca, good to see you here. I'm pretty sure we'll see Mephisto because he first showed up as a fly, and we saw one in Agatha's house. I didn't know Mephisto's first appearance was as a fly. That's pretty random in a comic, but it works. But yeah, I loved that scene. I loved that scene in the house because it was you could just tell Wanda realized she wasn't really controlling that house. It was finally dawning on her that I may not be controlling as much as I think. That was a really good. Vermilion, not all have to be answered. True, not every question has to be answered, but certain things do. Like is Vision, like I said, like is Vision going to stay alive? What's going to happen with the twins? We need to know, are they even still going to exist? Where are they going to go? Things like that. And of course, what's going to happen to Wanda now? Because she can't come out of this squeaky clean. That's where my Doctor Strange theory comes in. He's going to have to take her. He's going to have to take her almost like into custody, not into like prison custody, but I think more like no, I'm going to take her and I'm going to keep an eye on her for her and everybody because she needs help, sort of a situation. Ain't Bryce, what big cameo do you think we will be seeing? I just said it, Doctor Strange. That's 100% who I think it is. I think we are looking at a situation where it's going to tie directly into his movie, and it would make perfect sense to me. Vermilion, some will be unresolved because of how they tie into the movies coming up. True, certain things can be, but there are other things that we just need to make sure we have answered, like the Pietro question. I guess we don't have the one question I keep thinking of, the big, like, is it Mephisto she's working with, things like that. That is literally something I could see them not answer until the movies, which would be disappointing because we all had these weird, who's the other bad? Who's Agatha working with? And for it not to get answered until then would be kind of sucky. Vermilion. The twins could be lost in the multiverse and part of the madness. Wanda could be trying to recover. Oh. So in Multiverse of Madness, the twins could be in the multiverse. I see what you're saying. Maybe they get sucked into the multiverse. Heck, maybe Agatha's already put them there because that's what the whole Nexus idea that this town might be actually causing that, or not causing that, but be able to puncture into the multiverse. So if that's the case, yeah, I could see Agatha just stashing the twins in the multiverse, or heck, if they're gonna go with somebody like Mephisto, we'll just use Mephisto as an example. Why not just say he's in? Well, and they kind of do in the comics anyway. He's an extra dimensional being. He exists in his own kind of hell universe. He's gonna drag them into hell to, because he wants them. He wants their powers or something. Whatever it is, they want the twins for. I still feel like the twins are needed in that. So I could see it kind of end with the twins getting pulled in by like a Mephisto or somebody, and then Multiverse of Madness, you're picking up with Wanda and Strange still trying to figure out where exactly that dimension is. Or a different dimension, Vermilion. Luca, I laughed when the commercial said one of the side effects of the Nexus thing was more depression. That's so bad. That is so bad. Poor Wanda. She, oh, she did not have, um, her commercials are really telling of how fragile her psyche is. Oh my goodness. She, ooh, she is really sad. And those commercials, they make you laugh, but only because they're so freaking dark. Um, but yeah, I was actually watching that like a hawk this time when I did my rewatch a few minutes ago, trying to figure out, okay, did they drop any more clues in these commercials? And I can't see them, but we still do not know who the witness that Jimmy came to find. Susan, that is my biggest fear, is that that witness is going to turn out to be Peter or Pietro, and that will be unfortunate because he's the only person in town that I don't remember them identifying on the board. Like I think there were only like two people they didn't identify, and well, three, him because he didn't even exist yet. Then they also had Agatha, and I think it was Dottie. I think they hadn't identified. So I don't know if they're eventually going to have to tell us who the witness was, who this person was in witness relocation. And I guess weirdly it could be Agatha. I didn't think about that. You could pull that off in a way. Huh. That's because if Agatha was just sitting there waiting and then Wanda fell in her lap and she... Ooh, that would be weird. I don't think that would work. Okay, Vermilion, there are lots, some don't even appear until later, like the lady with the tear. Oh, the, but saw Pietro, oh, Wu saw Pietro. He said the uncle stopped by. That's true. I keep forgetting that he would have recognized Pietro as the witness. So good point. That makes me feel better because that means Pietro may not be the witness. So, okay, my multiverse theory still holds. Yeah, Susan, Jimmy should know what his witness looks like. You're right. You're right. I completely forgot that. I forgot that was that he saw them on the monitor. For some reason, it just didn't click. So yeah, yay! I can still hold out hope this is our Quicksilver from the X-Men universe. And Vermilion, you did say a lot of townspeople are not on the board. That's true. That's very true. We've barely scratched the surface on the townspeople, really. But I think they were really just cataloging the people, for the most part on that board anyways, the main characters, the people that were reoccurring characters, I guess you could say, on the show. So, yeah, but that does fix my whole, I'm afraid he's the witness. And you'd think that they would actually have recognized him if he was just a random townsperson. You would think that they would have recognized him as well. Like they would have been able to ID him because they never even bothered to. They never said they ID'd him, which makes me actually believe they never did. So, multiverse theory, can't speak. Um, and who is the aerospace engineer? Not Major Goodner, right? Luca, that is a good question. I am kind of convinced it is, but I don't know. It could be a situation where it's somebody else, but I don't think we're going to get that answer in this show now. I think that's going to be one of those weird retroactive things they do. Like I mentioned it before in one of these, I think, where they retroactively said the kid in Iron Man 2 was Peter that Iron Man saves. Um, I think they're going to retroactively do the same thing later. They're going to say, oh, yes, that engineer was Reed Richards all along. But, we're just not going to see him or even get a name drop. We'll just find out later he was working for SWORD and created that rover. Susan Brooks, we get a few answer and 1,000 more questions. Yes, that is what I love about this show. It is constantly changing, well, all my theories, and it's always, but it's nice because it answers. It does answer, but it does provide more questions, and that's a good show. That is exactly how a show like this should go, and that's what's made it so much fun week to week, and having us talk every week about this, about what in the world's going on, and what changed this week to make it so much crazier. And I'm Vermilion. Agatha and unidentified co-conspirator have one objective. Don't have the power to do it themselves. They trick Wanda to the location to help, but they aren't the only ones with an agenda. I think that's a pretty spot-on analysis of what's happening. I think that I personally where I'm at is I think Agatha and whoever she's working with fed Vision's information. Hey, they're experimenting on Vision to Wanda, and they also probably pointed her at this town, saying, "Hey, and when you get him, go to this town and you can hide out there." And so I think she's been manipulated into coming to this town, and also taking Vision. So all this has been, I think, strategically plotted. What their end game is, I'm not 100% certain. I think it's got to be something to do with siphoning her power or something along those lines. Maybe the twins. That's the part where it's really blurry right at the moment. Arca. Hey, Arca. I thought Goodner was working for someone else because she said that Monica's mom wasn't the only person she was loyal to. Well, I thought she was just referencing Monica. Like she was saying, hey, I'm not just loyal to your mom, I'm loyal to you too. That's the way I took it. Anyway, I mean, I could be wrong. I have been before. Don't be too shocked. But at the same time, yeah, I just took that as a pretty benign comment. Oh, and Vermilion, you're on the what's going on. What they are attempting, the big bad who is lurking is going to use as opportunity. Right, Vermilion. Arica, I'm wondering if Monica maybe texted Reed. He couldn't come himself, so he sent Goodner. As well. I think it's possible. I think it's really possible that we'll find that out later. I'm at the point now where I think that was just a kind of a throwaway thing for the time being, and we won't get that answer until much, much later. And we'll find out, oh yeah, this is an aerospace engineer I know. He's always helped me out when I need help. And turns out to be Reed Richards, something like that. Vermilion, Agatha in comics is generally more villain adjacent than villain herself. Besides, as much as people are enjoying Han's performance, she has to be redeemable so they can use later phase with Franklin. She killed a puppy. I don't know how you can get redeemed from that. She murdered a dog. She straight up murdered a dog and laughed about it today or this week. So it's hard to redeem a puppy murderer, but I do see her being like a Loki. I really do see her possibly becoming like a Loki, where it's the villain you love to hate, but at the same time, they're not completely irredeemable. I mean, and frankly, Loki killed lots of people in New York, and we are forgiving of him. So I may have just talked myself out of that argument. Um, Arica, I find it hilarious that Hayward and his Goonies have no idea what they're actually up against. Like, what if Mephisto, what if, what if it is Mephisto behind it all? What are they going to do against the literal devil? Laugh my ass off. Yeah, yeah, they are. What was the line Fury said in Avengers? We are hilariously outgunned. That is exactly what I feel like they are in this situation. Like, they're outgunned against Wanda. If Mephisto showed up, I can't even imagine the lack of response they would be able to provide. They are woefully, woefully outgunned in a situation like this. It's, he's an idiot. I actually kind of liked the guy when we first met him, and not so much anymore. Ob79, there were some speculations that Major Goodner could be the Skrull girl that Monica befriended in Captain Marvel. That's a cool twist. Oh, so that would be I forgot his name, but the daughter, I think, of Ben Mendelsohn's character. That'd be actually a very cool reveal if we found out that's who that was later. That'd be actually, I'd really be down for that. I just saw your hashtag, Arica, justice for Sparky. Yes, I want to see that trending every time we talk about Agnes. Justice for Sparky should be on this. It's poor Sparky. He did nothing wrong. I mean, seriously, she laughed about it. I mean, I could forgive everything else, but the dog people. I don't know where, man. Oh, Vermilion, and her comment about not the only one with loyalty referenced Maria's loyalty to the Skrulls, helping keep them safe. Oh, so you're saying the loyalty comment was about the fact that, well, Monica and her family, her mom, Carol, they earned that loyalty by keeping the Skrulls safe. So it does add to the idea that that could be the Skrull girl. I like that idea. I like that idea a lot. That would be very cool if we found that out. I mean, it'd almost be like an Easter egg, but it would be a really neat one, for those of us who remember that from Captain Marvel. Luca, why did Agatha kill Sparky in the first place? To push Wanda. That's what she's been doing this whole time, is manipulating her, and so that would be a part of the manipulation. She needed the dog to die. She needed to see how Wanda would react. It got her talking about her dead brother and how she couldn't bring him back. So what does Agatha do right after Wanda's talking about this? She brings back her dead brother. It's evil. It's really evil. If they open up the multiverse, does this mean John Wick will come to this universe to avenge Sparky? We've always wanted Keanu in this universe, so I'm okay with that. If John Wick was to show up, but I don't know that I want him to kill Agatha. I mean, I want justice for Sparky like everybody, but I want to see her stick around for a little while to cause trouble. She's fun, even if, yes, justice for Sparky. Vermilion, yeah, questions needing answers. Most are the why, motivations for various characters, and the who. There are several unidentified characters, some seen and some unseen. I don't think all the magic users in Westview have been revealed. I was actually wondering that myself. Like, could there be other magic users in Westfield and we just aren't aware? That would be, I mean, if this is a nexus point, it would track that maybe other magic users from the world came there periodically or even just lived there. So we could find out there are several other magic-based characters in the city that just haven't revealed themselves yet. And maybe they aren't actually actively using the magic right now, or maybe they are actually under Agatha's spell. There's so many what ifs about that scenario, but it's still plausible. Sparky isn't his dog. You lost me on that one. Oh, Sparky isn't his dog. You mean John Wick? Yeah, it's not his dog. But we all know that John Wick loves dogs and he would murder for them. Um, I don't want Agatha to stay. I need her theme song out of my head. Agatha all along. Luca, I have heard so many people talk about that. It is hysterical. That song is so catchy. And it is very much the Munsters. Somebody pointed that out to me. It is very much the Munsters. The way it's sang, the way they even presented it, it was a very Munsters sort of theme song. It's hysterical how accurate they're getting these. Um, Vermilion, witches need more than one to pull off very big rituals, and something they need Wanda's help for wouldn't be a one-person job. True, but you would actually have, if you went for like, so you need three people, then that would actually account for Wanda, Agatha, and then whoever our third big bad turns out to be. So you could actually have it just be those three. And it would, you could argue that's what it would work. And that maybe that's all they needed Wanda for in the first place. They're using her as a battery so they can, do their own ritual of sorts, whatever that ritual. It's again, you said it earlier. It's trying to figure out the motivation at this point because I don't think they've really tipped that hand too much. There was that one commercial where the shark commercial on the desert island where some pointed out that it could have been referencing Vision, but I still like to think that was a hint at what was really happening to Wanda, where she thought she was getting salvation and really she was being fed on. So that is my theory. I made the song my ringtone, Arca. That would be, I don't know if I can handle that ringtone. It would never get out of my head. Jackson, great question, Jackson. Why did Agatha reveal herself to Wanda? I was thinking about this, and I'm not sure yet. But when she did, you'll notice the first thing she did after she revealed herself was she took control of Wanda. She put a spell on her, and so I don't know if, and maybe Agatha's little spell that she does on her is to only show Wanda that yes, she literally showed her the same Agatha all along, theme song we all saw, and maybe that was just her showing all her cards. Now, why reveal herself to Wanda? Probably, my only guess is at this point they need a very aware Wanda to finish whatever it is they're doing. And since they have the kids, or she has the kids, somebody has the kids, she has all the leverage at this point. So she can get Wanda to do whatever she needs. Maybe there's like one last thing to check off the list before this ritual is complete, and Wanda needs to be very aware she's doing this part. I don't know. It's got to be something along those lines. Otherwise, there's no point in revealing herself. Susan, I think Monica is getting too close, so Agatha stepped in. Right. Well, that was a huge thing there. That I don't know that. I feel like Agatha could have pulled back though. She needed to get Wanda out of there, but she didn't. She intentionally sent her to the basement. She intentionally said, "Oh yeah, the boys are probably playing in the basement," and then left her alone in the living room. Like, she knew exactly what she was doing. She was telling Wanda to go to the basement. So I feel like Agatha was going to eventually reveal herself, but Monica maybe just, made her move up that timetable a bit. Vermilion, possibly trying to bring someone back from the dead, or at least the dimension for the dead, when Agatha asked, you can do that in the dead Sparky scene. Yes, yes. Yeah, that was always questionable when she said that. It felt very genuine, but everything she did felt genuine until this week. So now it's one of those, yeah, I can see it being they're wanting to bring somebody back to life, but it would be just as, I mean, I don't know Agatha that well, to know who she'd want from like the comics or anything. So it's a really strange thing. But I guess in a way she brought back Vision, so maybe Agatha really does think Wanda is powerful enough to bring back someone else. Or if Wanda did bring back Vision, that's still a huge question mark too. We don't know how that happened. Um, Ben, I think Agatha is trying to bring back her witch sister who were killed during the witch trials. Oh, sisters. I can see that. I can see that. If they're going to go with the Agatha from the comics, which I think she's like 1,000 years old or something like that in the comics, can't remember. Old, very old, ancient. She's been around for a while. So then in that case, yeah, I could see something like that. It could be something just as simple as that. I just want to bring back my sisters that are dead. Vermilion, they want someone from another dimension, but when the veil is weakened to do it, someone else is going to come through. That's a decent theory. That I really think the more we talk about the Nexus, it has to be something to do with that, right? I mean, it just has to be something to do with the fact that that Agatha probably wants someone from the multiverse, but they need Wanda's help to get them somehow. So it's a very strange. It's the one thing I feel like we're just so in the dark on, that they've really not shown their hand. Arica, I think Agatha. Why did I say Agatha wrong? I think Agatha trapped the kids in the TV to get them out of the way temporarily. That's a good one. After Wanda sees the sandwiches, she looks at the TV and it zooms in on two characters, the red one and the blue one. That's a very good theory. I could see that easily because I was trying to figure out what those characters were, like if they had any meaning or context, and I couldn't quite place where I'd have seen them from. But to say that, oh no, she literally just zapped them into the TV to get them out of the way so she could have this, one-on-one with Wanda, that makes sense. I just saw your follow-up on that, Arga. Also, apparently Yo Gabba Gabba is canon in the MCU. Apparently. Crimson Striker, still find it weird she equated Wanda's powers to actual magic. I don't, because I mean, if you want to boil it down, in the MCU, they've always toyed around with that, where, oh, magic is just science you don't understand. So to me, it's magic. Just call it what it is. Susan Brooks. I think Agatha was losing control. She could not control Vision, so she tried to get him to leave the Hex. Monica came through and remembers everything. Oh, that's an interesting point. She did push Vision to leave. But I think that's partially... I think a lot of what she does is to mess with... I was going to call her Scarlet Witch, but Wanda's sanity, her mental health. I think she is literally breaking her down to control her. And I think making Vision leave was a part of that. Oh, we're going to make Vision leave and cause a really horrible incident. It worked. It made Wanda exert more power. She's losing more control. And now Wanda is a frayed mess. She really is. So I really think that's her agenda, or what her intentions are, why she keeps doing these things, is to break down her mental health. But I don't know, again, to what end. What is this going to accomplish for her? Crimson, please no Fantastic Four from the other movies. Yeah, those don't need to come through the multiverse. Start from scratch with them and Doctor Doom, please. I don't think we have a thing to worry about with that one. If they if they even thought about doing that, I'm pretty sure Feige would just have to resign. Mannix, I think the kids are necessary for summoning spell to bring out another big bad. Nightmare and Mephisto. I can see that. That would really track. I really feel like it has to be some sort of spell, some sort of ritual, something to, again, I go back to the multiverse. I think they're pulling somebody from the multiverse they can't get to otherwise. At least right now, that's my theory. Next week, who knows? Or at least that would make sense, just based off the Nexus commercial. Crimson Striker, if we're pulling from the yeah, if we're pulling from the multiverse, yeah, don't pull the Fantastic Four from there. No, we don't need that. Mr. Luca, did you notice how Monica's eyes were purple in the mid-credit scene instead of blue? Maybe because she was looking at Agatha's magic. That's a distinct possibility. Maybe her eyes just changed because you could see her see the magical lines in the wall and such with her vision. So maybe it was just kind of almost like a reflection of what she was seeing with her new power. Crimson, who would you want them to keep outside of the X-Men? Oh, from the Fox universe? No one. Anybody that's from the Fox universe outside of the X-Men? No, we don't need them. In fact, I'm of the mind that unless Hugh's coming back, X-Men wise, I'd really only want at this point, because let's face it, that franchise ended on a very, very sour note. I'd McAvoy and Fassbender are really the only two I can even think of out of the Fox universe. Still living characters and actors who still would probably play them that I would say bring in. Which they are awesome and I would love it, but it's also one of those, they kind of buried the X-Men franchise. So I'm all for the MCU doing their own. Arca, so did Agatha pull Pietro from the Fox universe and bring him to Westview? That is my theory. That is my theory. I think because this is a nexus point in the multiverse, this town is probably, that Agatha was just powerful enough to grab this version of Pietro and bring him there. And I'm hoping, at least that's my hope, that he is actually that Pietro from the multiverse. I could be wrong, and a part of me is very afraid that it's just going to be some random guy that she made think he was Pietro, but I'm really hoping. Okay. Probably going to call this at an hour today just because we typically go like an hour and a half at these and we start talking the same theories over and over. So if you have more theories, throw them out now, because we'll go for a few more minutes and then next week we'll compare notes again on where we're at. Mannix. Hey Mannix, do you think Agatha's book could be the Darkhold? I kind of wonder that. The only issue with that is, and I think we're going to eventually find out Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is in its own separate universe in the multiverse, just a very similar one. But if not, they used the Darkhold in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and it did not look like what we saw the other day. So that makes me a little concerned that it can't be, but at the same time, if Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. really is out there somewhere, then yes, absolutely. I think that could be the Darkhold, which would tie into so many different, characters that we supposedly have coming eventually anyway. Luca, yeah, why didn't Agatha just bring back Aaron Taylor Johnson's Pietro? Not possible because he's dead, so she grabbed X-Men Pietro instead. That's my theory. Yeah, this Pietro is alive in another multiverse, in another universe, so she could grab him. But even as Wanda said, I can't bring anyone back from the dead because I don't have that much power. Agatha probably has that same limitation. She can't bring back the dead. So she grabbed that Pietro. It's still, but that question mark of then how is Vision alive is so, it's bugging me. Crimson Striker. I know people want to honor Chadwick, but I wouldn't say no to them bringing in alternate to T'Challa. Still got no idea what to think with Black Panther 2. Yeah, not me. T'Challa needs to rest with him. Maybe in 20 years, 10, 20 years, you can bring somebody else in, but it's just too tied to the man. The character's too tied to the man. And I think you've got plenty of people that could pick up the mantle of Black Panther. give it to Shuri. I don't understand why that's even a question at this point. It's like, just give it to Shuri. She's awesome. She'd be great. So, Arica, I love the Wizard of Oz references. Agatha being mean to the dog and the fact that she's the Wicked Witch of Westview. Good point on that one. I didn't even catch that she was the Wicked Witch of Westview. I remember she was dressed like a witch, obviously. Caught that, but good call. Did not even think of that. Luca, Kevin Feige doesn't consider Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. canon, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, from things I've heard and read, pretty much anything that wasn't made by Feige himself, he really doesn't consider them canon. So I think Agents, like, that includes like the Netflix series, which I adore the Netflix series, but I don't think he considers any of that canon. So yeah, so if it turns out to be the Darkhold, it turns out to be the Darkhold next week. That's fine, but it'll almost be a slight confirmation to me that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. really is something out in the multiverse rather than in this universe. Vermilion. Oh, I'm not sure what you're following up on. I always lose track of what you're talking about. Sorry, bud. But it could be disguised because the hexagon reality changes appearances. If so, that might mean something more Eldritch related than Mephisto. Interesting. I'm not quite sure where you're going with that. Oh, are you saying the book could be disguised? I could see that. Well, heck, that could be even why there was that weird orange shimmer around it. You know, the magical shimmer it had could be it's disguised or something. Or maybe, heck, maybe we're talking about this book, and that's exactly what Agatha needs Wanda for, is to open this book. That this book is exactly the reason she's had Wanda here this entire time. I don't know. Crimson. Oh, and Ruby Slippers equals Scarlet Witch. Sounds like Wanda. Yeah, that is a really good comparison. That's a really good comparison. So, well, I guess the Scarecrow would be... Wow, Scarecrow would be Vision, and Pietro would be the Cowardly Lion. Anyway. Arica. Oh no, Vermilion. If the grimoire is the Darkhold, it could explain changed appearance. Mannix, I just hope that Ralph is the villain somehow. I'm not convinced Ralph exists, but if he does, then yeah, he's got to be the villain. It's got to be that she's been talking about this Ralph the whole time, and it turns out that, yeah, this is the guy I've been working with this whole time. It's not, it's that or it just doesn't exist. If you ever watch the old, classic sitcom Cheers, Norm constantly talked about his wife Vera, and she never appeared. The closest we ever got were her feet in one episode. I think that's kind of what they're doing here with Ralph, but we could get a reveal that Ralph really is somebody like Nightmare or Mephisto or something. Or even Grim Reaper, who knows? Vermilion, or if people read the cover as two keys used to open a door, then the twins could be those keys. Yeah, I noticed that. Those look like keys on the cover. So maybe they do need the twins to open that book. And maybe they're going to use Wanda to make the twins. Like, okay, twins, either open the book or we're hurting your mom. Sort of a situation. Maybe the mailman is Ralph. I swear he has a name. Somebody pointed out his name to me, but I don't remember what it was. I can't remember. I think he was even on the board. He acts odd every time he appears and seems to be keeping an eye on things. They all kind of act odd when they appear. I don't hate the idea, but I could swear that mailman seems shady. Yeah, his FedEx uniform also said Presto on it this week. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not convinced about the mailman. You guys would have to work to really convince me. I get the shady, but he's also a mailman, so he's just the guy that's always around. He's always going to be delivering mail. He's always going to be walking up and down the street. So I still subscribe to the theory that maybe he's working for Hayward. That's the one thing I have wondered. But I could swear somebody pointed out that he could, or that he was identified on the board when they were picking people out. Vermilion, they could be keys or keys on either side of the door if it's a dimensional door. Ah. So, yeah, they might be opening, that book may open a door to another dimension. Like, that's kind of where I'm at right now, is they're trying to open a door to another dimension and get someone or something. Arca, maybe he's working with Agatha, but isn't the big bad. Possible. Possible. We were just talking about earlier how there could be other magical beings in this town. There are a lot of possibilities for the rest of the townsfolk. I mean, if this is a nexus, like it's kind of being pointed at as, then yeah, why not have more magical beings there already, or even people that just know Agatha? Maybe Agatha already lived there and people would just know her or be in her circle, her magical circle, and be helping out. If we're going full Oz comparison, it feels ripe for a Doctor Strange intervention at the end. Crimson, yes, he'd be the great and all-powerful Oz at the very end. Wow. So who are the flying monkeys? Is that Sword? All right, I think, yeah, we are right at an hour, so I'm going to call it there. We've had some really good theories this week. I'm really, really happy about where the show is right now and where it seems to be going. I really just hope we get that flashback next week. I just want it so bad. Mannix, how are they going to give us all these answers in just 2 episodes? Exactly. There's a great question to go out on, because I really hope they throw out the 30-minute formula this week and they start going, even if it's just 40, go 40, 45, whatever. Just give us the room to let the episode breathe and give us the answers we want. And, I really feel like the last episode almost has to be just a lot of, or at least the last few minutes of the last episode are going to have to be just addressing a lot of issues of the fallout. Like, just how's Vision alive, or is he alive, and what's going to happen to him? What happens to his body if he's not? What happens to the kids? There's so many questions still that, yeah, 2 episodes. That's crazy. All right, if you guys come up with more theories, leave them in the comments. I always read them. I love responding and doing these, and genuinely just interacting with you guys. So, all right, I'm gonna get off here. I will see you guys. I'm planning on doing this next week. I'll probably move it back to Saturday if that works. Hopefully that works better for everybody. And I will plan to see you guys then. If you have any suggestions for videos for me to watch this week, go ahead and leave those in comments. And until next week, please take care of yourselves and please take care of each other. Thanks for watching.